everyone. I'm Deborah Gardner, the host to Hospitality Today Live. And thank you again for joining us for another great week and episode where my amazing guests share real life topics through their own perspective, opinions, stories, and lessons. And today we promise you a great show because we have the talented and the beautiful Patty Stern with Patty Stern Creative here with us today. And despite being profoundly deaf, she is a very successful 25-year meeting professional, event producer, and strategic marketing expert. And she actually has been positively utilizing her handicap purposely to hone in on even her clients while they actually have their programs going on, while finding the heart and to generate emotions from the audience. She is amazing. And I'm so happy that she's going to be here on the show today. She's going to share with us her experience being deaf and what has that been like growing up, how you can learn to talk and accommodate those with visible and invisible challenges, and what's the best way to make sure anyone with a handicap is comfortable, and so much more. So stick around and don't go too far. We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Visibly Media, helping business communicate strategically in print and online. We are here with visiblymedia.com. And now what I'd like to do is bring in our fabulous, wonderful guest today. We have here as Patty Stern. Hi, Patty.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thank you for that beautiful introduction.
Oh, well, you definitely deserve it. You've been such an icon in the industry for so many years. And I am just so thrilled. And your viewers are excited here with you as well. As a matter of fact, your fans are already jumping on board here. We already have Carolyn Browning who's saying, I'm looking forward to this great informative message. We just adore Carolyn, no doubt. And I'm so thrilled to see that you are wearing my favorite color on you. Yeah. I love the yellow.
I bit my style, friend. I have been waiting 6 months to wear this for you.
Well, it looks great on you. You know, I've always liked you in that color. And of course, it reminds me of Arizona anyway, where I'm from. But first, before we get started on this all important topic, I just want to say congratulations. You know, as a heart attack survivor, you have just been acknowledged in winning the Women of Impact Award with the American Heart Association in New Jersey, recognized for educating women with heart health issues while raising funds for life-saving research. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. That was really a great campaign to be a part of. So, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing and keep educating people.
Well, you do such a great job. And, you know, like anything, it's all about firsthand experience, to be knowledgeable, to share what you know, the wisdom wise. And that's why you're here on the show, above and beyond just that award. We're going to talk about handicaps. And I know the first question I want to throw out there is, how did you lose your hearing? And what was it like growing up with what you called your mother saying, an invisible handicap?
Yeah. So, first of all, I want everyone to know this is the first time in my entire life that I have talked about my hearing issue in a broadcast capacity. And so thank you for that, Deborah. So I was born with perfect hearing. And when I was 3 years old, I got a measles vaccination, and this was in the 60s. And so some of you watching may remember classmates who also lost their hearing from a measles vaccination. And I reacted with a very high fever. And back in the 60s, doctors were guys who did whatever they said. And apparently the doctor told my mom to do the wrong thing, and I lost my hearing. I completely lost my hearing in my left ear. My right ear, I probably lost half my hearing. And my mom did not immediately know that I had lost my hearing. We had 4 kids in the family. She noticed that I would call us, Barbara and Patty Pam. Patty was not responsive. And Patty also seemed to play myself a lot. So my mom noticed these patterns and took me to a doctor, and ear, nose, throat, where I was diagnosed with the hearing problem. I had to be taught how to speak. At 3, I worked with a speech therapist. And so interestingly enough, the doctor thought taking my tonsils out might help my hearing. So I had my tonsils taken out. I still remember my mother telling me she had me on the back of her bicycle for a bike ride, and the ice cream man was somewhere nearby, and I started looking around, and I heard the ice cream truck, and she was just absolutely overjoyed with that. So my mother was my biggest cheerleader my whole life, and she taught me from the very first day of elementary school, first grade. She walked me to the door, and she said, go inside and tell the teacher that you have a hearing loss and you can only hear out of your right ear, and that you need to pick your chair, your desk. And I did. She stood there and watched, and I did it, and I got to pick my desk, which was great. And I did that all through school. I still do it today. Any of you that might be watching that know me know that when I go to an event, I always walk in the ballroom to figure out where I'm going to sit. And it's not because I'm nosy. It's because I have to place myself where I'm able to participate to the best of my capacity. So my mother was, it was an invisible handicap. You know, she told me you can't see it. And people, they can't tell that you can't hear. And I say that because of my hearing loss, my personality has been misconstrued my whole life. And because it's invisible, I think the times that if someone doesn't know, there was, you know, my mom told me you have to go up to people and introduce yourself and tell them. But I got to a point where walking up to someone to say, hi, my name is Patty Stern, I'm almost completely, it's very nice to meet you, wasn't working for me. And if people didn't know, they think I'm rude. They think I'm ignoring them. You're standing behind me. I have no idea what you're saying to me. If you want to tell me secrets, talk in my left ear. So that's been something I've had to deal with my whole life. And I did not get a hearing aid. I only wear one until I was 19 years old. When I started college, I was in a big lecture hall, professor in the front. My grades were not as high as I wanted them to be. I left school. And my mother always left it. She said, when you're ready, you come to me. And I did. I was 19. That was when the first time I got a hearing aid, and it changed my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, not till you were 19. That's amazing. It sounds like too, your mother was such a big, huge cheerleader for you, and having that kind of support is very important when having such a handicap, because it's all about, you know, almost like a make or break if you're going to, you know, move forward in, you know, what kind of career you chose. And apparently you had chosen one of the most difficult careers, the
Yeah.
meetings and events industry, where it's all about networking. It's all about, like my husband says, Deborah, you're such in a kissy huggy industry. And it's so true. And if people think that you're, being rude when they don't know about your handicap, that can be a challenge on top of that. So what drew you to the meetings and events industry?
I think the meetings industry is the kindest, most gracious industry in the hospitality industry, the best. I couldn't have picked a better industry to be in with my handicap, because we are all about serving other people and
Right.
listening. So
Sure.
I was just embraced so well when I started in the industry 25 years ago, and I was very open about my handicap, and I was very open, in all the industry associations and the boards and the committees, and in laying out expectations and telling people, if I don't respond to you, I probably didn't hear you. If I look at you funny, I didn't understand you. I told
Right.
them, so that I removed anything they could misconstrue. And because I did that, they never let my hearing hold me back from anything I want to do for my professional development. And
Great.
yeah, so
That's good.
and as a planner, the industry was very attractive to me because I have firsthand empathy and compassion for finding those people when we're at meetings and events who need to pull in, who need help. And so I love our industry. I really do.
Yeah, me too. Yep. Yep. And the industry loves you as well, because you've done such a great, great job. And I mean, I just admire all the efforts that you have put out there, and you're always available to people and always constantly learning. And yet you also feel that the industry has been very gracious to your handicap, which is kind of the opposite of what has been accommodated in the meetings industry. It seems like the meetings and events industry can do a better job of ADA compliances. And, here we're talking about a lot of topics like diversity, the future of the meetings industry, but we never really talk about the handicap side of things and what people are going through, especially during the pandemic. So how do you explain the controversy of people saying it's not enough, but yet you feel they are being very accommodating?
I do. And I can only speak to my particular handicap, so I can't speak for all the handicaps out there.
Sure.
And so I don't think that planners should be put in a position where we have to automatically assume they're going to accommodate every handicap. And I might get bashed for this, because this is just my opinion. If a handicapped guest, any kind of a handicap, if they request something and it's doable financially and logistically, do it. Why wouldn't you? And I think every planner and supplier would agree. Sure, we'll take care of it. But there are going to be some times it may not work. In other words, how hard do you want to push? How hard do you want to
Sure.
hit? And I just personally, I've had occasions in my lifetime. I don't go to the Life Theater anymore. 30 years ago, that ended for me because my hearing was causing it to be difficult for me to understand what the players on the stage were saying.
Right.
So was I going to go to the director and say, you changed your whole production to accommodate me? No, I said, that's something, it's just not going to be in my life anymore. I'm sad, I cried, but I moved on. And so I feel that there's just sometimes people with any kind of a handicap, they can make their own decision. It's not going to work for me. The environment's not going to work. Logistically, it's going to be too challenging, and I'm going to sit this one out. And I think that's okay. I really do. That's my thought about that.
So would you say that meetings automatically should plan to accommodate every type of handicap?
What's the question again?
Like, should the planning process of a meeting and event, conference or board meeting or any type of meeting, automatically plan to accommodate every type of handicap? Shouldn't there be like a checklist?
They have, well, here's the deal.
Whoops.
I'm so sorry.
We lost you there for a minute.
You can plan for it, and it's a really good question because it's about the communication. The attendee is responsible. The attendee has the responsibility to advise the planner ahead of time. Don't show up on site and say, I need this, this, and this, and have an expectation being accommodated. I mean, some things are simple. I need to sit here, isn't it toughie? But even with that, when I'm going, if I'm going to like a big charity event, I contact the planner. I let them know, would you please seat me here because I want to have the best time ever. Right. And they're so appreciative, and they love making their guests happy. So so the attendee has to be responsible for communicating information to the planner. Now, here's something I know as a planner who's managed the registration list, and there's always that column for special needs. There's been a lot of times when I've looked at that stuff on site, that column gets ignored sometimes, or there's somebody else managing that part of the planning and they're not communicating it to the senior planner or the CEO or, all the people that need to know that so-and-so, who's your biggest investor, is having trouble walking now. So it'd be really great for you to greet the person at the door and do this, this, and that. And there's so many nuances and details and nice things we can do. So the attendee is responsible. Planners, if they know about it and they can do it, they will go to the end of the purse to make sure that person is happy and accommodated. And I've got two real life experiences that, if I may share with them.
Yes.
Okay, so one is from a planner perspective and one is from something that happened to me as a guest. So I'm going to talk about the first one. The first one, I was doing production for a large event, and I had been, one of the speakers we had was an aged center, and his publicist had reached out to me prior to the event, and we had a conversation about the fact that he has trouble walking. He has a big ego, and he didn't want anyone to know that he was having so much trouble walking. So we came up with a plan before the date of the event with regard to exactly where we were going to place that senator. And we were going to make accommodations so that he would have the choice of staying at his table in his chair to deliver what he wanted to say to the audience. Or if he wanted to get up from the table and walk towards the stage, we were going to put him in front of the stage so he wouldn't have to walk up any stairs because I had already been told he had an ego. Nothing wrong with egos. I love high maintenance people. At any rate, I was very particular about being in that room and where this gentleman's table was. And then maybe 30, 40 minutes before they were due to arrive, I noticed that the other people, some of the other people on the team had not put the senator where he was supposed to be. They had somewhere else. So I had to go through this whole rigmarole with the team. You got to move the table. This is where the senator is sitting. This is what he's expecting. This is what's respectful to accommodate him. And we did take care of it. And it was completely unnecessary because it had been communicated very clearly. And I guess the lesson here is that whoever's the project lead has to stay on top of that stuff. If we hadn't caught it, it might have been embarrassing for the senator. So that's the story. Now the other one is me. I went to an event. Only time in my entire life I have not been treated well with my handicap. I called the center early, beforehand, said I need to sit to the right of the stage so that my right ear can face the stage and I can enjoy the keynote just like everybody else. And they said, absolutely, perfect. Well, I get to the event, as usual, I go into the ballroom to find my seat. And this is a really valuable lesson as well for planners. We know that the printed floor plan that you have in your hand and the actual live floor plan don't always match. So where you thought a table was going to be really close to the stage, it's possible the staff got it a little further back. So again, double check. You have people with special needs. Don't just go by your printed floor plan. Go into your ballroom, stand where those people are supposed to be, and make sure everything is where it needs to be, even if you have to move people to another table to make sure it's perfect. So for me, I could tell I wasn't going to be happy where the table was located, and I was on my way out to tell the young lady, please move me. When the executive director stopped me, she could tell I was troubled. I told her what was going on. Instead of accommodating me, she said, maybe you need an interpreter. And I can't tell you how deep to my core I was insulted. That was not the solution. And I did end up getting moved to another table, so that was fine. And I was so hopeful that I would hear from that woman to apologize to me, because she could tell I was distressed, and I never did. So I also want to say, if you mess up, you're going to mess up. That's just human nature. Follow up and apologize. It's okay. Show some character. And so those are my two stories.
Wow. Wow. I'm just amazed by the underlining experiences that people with handicaps like yours, with your hearing, that other people don't know about or take advantage of. And that's why it makes me think that, planners, attendees, and you even mentioned keynotes, should be a bit nervous when not being able to accommodate anyone with ADA needs. And you hit it right on the nail. I think it has a lot to do with communication from both parties, finding out who actually really does need, certain assistance. And, I know you've got some keynoters on, your fans watching you as viewers today. And I'm thinking, my gosh, even from the stage, not only from how far away you are from the stage, like you mentioned, but even hearing somebody from up on the stage has got to be a challenge. Is there any other tips that you suggest?
Actually, I do. I don't know if you remember this, Deborah, but even when I met you at an MPI event and speaking, I probably came up to you before the program started to ask you, Deb, are you going to be speaking from the podium, or are you going to be wandering around the room? And
I do remember that.
And then you told me, and so I was able to tell you I'm hearing loss. And so if you're going to be walking around the room, I'm going to sit here, because then I can see you all over the room. And if you're going to be at the podium the whole time and just going back and forth in the front, then I can sit here. And know what happened? As a result of me doing that with all keynotes, we connect. It's really funny. I don't remember, but I was just such a rapt listener. I'm like a dream attendee, because I'm really, really listening. I'm focusing. I'm reading your lips, and I've always gotten along very, very well with speakers. And
That's great.
and I have, and I think you know, if you have speakers who are on this call, what they can do when they're looking out in the audience, I think if they see someone who might have a questionable look on their face, maybe they didn't understand what you said.
Right.
And but you're doing a keynote.
Right.
So it's not like you can stop what you're going to do and repeat it.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Right. But I think like you said, again, it all comes down to communication, no matter if they're keynoters, attendees, meeting professionals, it's all about asking and making those that do have, you know, particular handicaps comfortable at the same time. And obviously you're very proactive and making that happen. And because of that, it becomes an advantage to you, like you said, get to know the keynoter a little bit better, or even the planners. And how about when you're servicing your customers? Is there
I've been so fortunate in all the years. I've had my company for 20 years. I've always been very honest with clients, and I've worked with, you know, CPAs, attorneys, very high maintenance groups, and they're just kind. They appreciate that I'm honest, and they've never made fun of me. They've never taken advantage of the fact that I have a hearing loss, and they've done everything in their power to accommodate me. For the most part, people are kind.
Yeah,
and
they are.
But
They
I
are.
want to I want to tell you about something else that happened. I got active with a hearing loss association here in New Jersey, a national association. So I went to the statewide board meeting, and it was the first time I was in a board meeting where I wasn't the person with the worst hearing loss. There were people with even more hearing than mine. And I remember the president standing up to address the board about something. And she said something that was funny. It was funny, ha ha. And we laughed. And she heard the laughter, but she didn't know why we were laughing. And I witnessed that fear. I mean, I'm talking about like a paranoid fear on her face, not understanding because she didn't hear. Not understanding, why is everyone laughing at me? Why is everyone laughing? And it was very, wow. I mean, it was a really life-changing experience for me to witness that as a hearing impaired person, another hearing impaired person, knowing I felt that before. That's what I looked like when it happened to me. And people think with hearing impaired people that when I say I can't, there's a difference between I can't hear you and I can't understand you.
Okay.
And most of the time, because people mumble, most of the time I tell someone I can't understand you, and their response is usually speaking louder, not more clearly. And I think that's something we in the hospitality industry want to be very attuned to. Is talking louder is actually insulting. And then I have to say, I can hear you, but I can't understand it. I can understand anything you're saying. And we see more and more of that. I think with all the devices and different ways we have of communicating, that people don't always speak clearly. And I think the same goes for people with eyesight issues and when you're talking to them. And it's okay to ask. I think it's perfectly okay to, whether it's someone that needs help walking, they hear, they can't see. They know it's not a surprise. I know I can't hear. It's okay. You can say whatever you want to me. And except don't ask me to be an interpreter. And don't, I think, the only other thing that's really been a peeve for me is when someone says, "Oh, you must not have heard what I said or we said." And no, that doesn't work for me, because I really pay very close attention. I'm exhausted at the end of every day because you hear, I have to listen.
Right. Right. Big
And
difference. Yeah.
yeah. And when someone says that to me, if I'm in a board or a committee situation, I'm like, no, you just don't like my answer.
Right.
Don't use hearing as an excuse.
Sure.
And because if I didn't hear something, I'm always the first person to say, I don't think I heard that right. And
Right.
so
yeah, that makes
yeah.
perfectly sense. I love what you said. It's not about, when somebody can't hear you is to talk loud. I have a tendency to do, that to my 84-year-old father. I talk louder, but majority of it, like you said, is I can't understand you. So it's our responsibility to make that clearer for you to hear it. So I love that. Now, I do see that Randall is back on the show here with us. He's one of our big fans here, saying that he loves your stories, which I'm so glad you shared that with. And also we have Lisa Raymond, who actually has a question for you before we end this episode. And it has to do with marketing. What about captioning? What is your thought process on that? And what are your recommendations?
With all this change, I would love it for in-person meetings. I would, since we're coming back on the other side of this pandemic and we're back to in-person everything, for meetings and conferences, I would love if captions started becoming the norm for these big meetings. You've got hundreds and sometimes thousands of people. Even fully hearing people when there are captions, it's amazing how many people say, I had no idea how much I was missing until I saw captions. And so I hope that our hospitality industry will start being a little more aware of adding captioning into the budget with AV, having those conversations with their AV companies. I think technology has progressed so rapidly that adding captioning shouldn't be a financial burden or a logistical burden in production. Just make it part of your conversation. As far as a service, Lisa, there's, I'm a big fan of cart services. There are professionals out there that you can hire for an hourly fee who are like court reporters, except they specialize in captioning for hearing impaired people. And they are an industry, and it's called cart services. But again, I think that there are a tremendous number of options out there as far as services. And happy, if you want to reach out, I'm happy to help you navigate that.
Yeah, that is very, very important. And you're right. Technology is going to help in that area. And I'm seeing that, with that, but there still needs to be an awareness as well. And like you said from the beginning, communication, bottom line communication is key. And I'm sorry we came over our time limit with you, but
I'm sorry.
Gosh, there's so much to share and so much to know that we're just going to have you back again.
Well, thanks, Deborah. So thank you, everyone that tuned in, and I hope you learned something. And I'm here, so anytime. I think the information if you want to connect. So Deborah, thank you for the extra 3 minutes, and have a
absolutely. Absolutely. Now we want people to connect with you, and I'm showing some information down here, right? Is there any other way that people can connect with you other than your email and websites?
Zoom, Facebook, FaceTime, Microsoft Teams.
You're everywhere.
And that's really true. A video chat. I don't even talk on the phone anymore. So text me, email, video chat. That's it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you again. I so appreciate. I know, again, it's such a short period of time. We'll have to have you back because, again, there's so much more to know about this, and I want that awareness out there. And we just appreciate you opening up on air with this topic, because I just believe that it's very, very important. And I know you do too. And as much as I adore you and know you throughout these many, many years, I'm just wishing you all the best. And
Thank you. You
we'll
too.
see you soon. So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Well, there you go. I wanted to at least let you know how important ADA is and the handicap world is to the meetings and events industry and the whole hospitality profession as well. And what better person to have than Patty Stern with Patty Stern Creative. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching and definitely learning from her. And I hope that you enjoyed the episode so much that you'll watch it again, or you'll share it from our Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube platforms. And we want to thank Visibly Media.com for being our sponsor here as well. And if you have any questions, by all means, you can contact us at hello@hospitalitytodaylive.com. Our team will be happy to answer any type of questions if you know somebody that would like to be on the show, and or if you would like to as well. So let's talk about next week's episode. This is going to be very, very different. We welcome Ray Rodriguez, the co-founder of Video Chat Game Shows. He and his partner, Jeremy, were with two different industry companies joining together to create a unique, interactive virtual team building experience. And this is going to be really, really fun, because not only are we going to learn about this type of format and what it'll do for the meetings, especially in the future, but they're also going to tell us some of the most exciting experiences that they've had with this virtual format through the pandemic. And also, plus, here's the big bonus. You, yes, you, the viewer, will actually experience this game show live. You'll be able to participate, interact, and really get a feel for what this format can do for you and your meetings and events as well. It's going to be so much fun. You're going to forget that it's even virtual. And so that is what's going to happen next Tuesday. So don't miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, before we close today, I have a very special thank you to all our viewers. You all are so kind to send us so many thank you cards and gifts and everything pertaining to this wonderful, wonderful show that couldn't have happened without you. And this week, I'd like to thank Cindy, who actually was so connected, Cindy Tokoski. She actually sent us a wonderful, wonderful contribution to Halo Animal Rescue. And a lot of you know that I love animal rescues. And so, Cindy, thank you so much for allowing us to have you on the show. And thank you so much for that wonderful donation. Keep it up, everybody out there in the hospitality profession. Things are only getting better and better. So I just wanted to say, on behalf of the staff here at Hospitality Today Live, I'm Deborah Gardner. And remember, if you're thinking about it, we're talking about it. Until next week, have a wonderful, wonderful day.